Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late here. The kettle took longer to boil than I had expected, but I'm here now. I'm happy to see everybody. Happy you're all here. Hopefully, you're off to a good week here. Can't believe it's Monday already. Am I right? Monday. What am I turning into Garfield? Sorry, my stomach is bothering me. We did a dining review today for work, and it's just one of those things where it's just like, ugh. It wasn't that I don't even feel like I ate excessive. I don't know. It's just those sit-down dining things always make me feel so full, and then like eat a little bit of dinner, and it was just like, what was I thinking? I felt like I was going to throw up. So I didn't though. But I made myself a green tea and make me feel better. I've convinced myself it speeds up my metabolism. Don't know if it's true. I hear it's a heart healthy thing, green tea. So yeah. How is everyone? How are you? Give it a second. I posted on Instagram too, to let folks know that I was doing this. I had intended to start this a little bit earlier. So I'm glad that I did. Because what was I going to say? Just because if I hadn't intended to start it later, imagine what time I would have started. My goodness. But yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about something fun I did this last week. I see that people in the chat already know, and if you're following my Instagram, excuse me while I move this microphone a little. It's like off-centered and it's stressing me out. First of all, look at this like super cute shirt. Roosevelt's did this like I don't know, like spooky collection that they had. So this one was like called Tiny Terrors. I just love this like cutesy little Halloween design. Very demure, very mindful. Yeah, I'm still saying it. No, I love this. This one, and then there was another one in it that was like all neon, but it was like a Jason mask, and it was like a little bottle of like blood. And it was like a cutesy, sort of very retro neon-ish looking shirt that I really like that one too. I love all their Halloween designs that they're coming out with this year. I feel like they've got a lot of fun with. And if you didn't see it, I reposted on my Instagram. They've got a Trick or Treat collection coming out tomorrow, and I'm super excited for that one. I can't wait. They also had a fun like Halloween Star Wars one that just came out that was supposed to be delivered today. But let me tell you, I am going to bitch for a second. So this complex, historically everybody knows I don't really love, this neighborhood has gone downhill quite a bit. Specifically, I think it's very poor HOA management, which I've complained about. But, it's one of those things. I was like, I need to figure out how to go to the manager's boss somehow, because this has been going on since like we were in lockdown. There's the guy who's selling, has 5 or 6 cars at any given time that he's like selling, but it's super shady because the keys are always, they're not selling, but the cars leave and never come back. But they're like, the keys are in the gas tank or on top of the tire, and people don't know what the car looks like when they get dropped off here, so they're just grabbing at all the doors. It's weird. I don't understand it. One of my other neighbors and I had talked about it a couple years ago, and we had tried, and I had taken pictures of everything and video of him doing this and everything. And basically the HOA was like, we're aware of the problem. Nothing happened. I followed up with it. Then it was like the police are like, well, you have to talk to the HOA. The HOA is like, well, you're going to have to call the police. It's just hasn't worked out very well for that. Not to mention the fact that like the cleaning place of this is like, there's been a cone, like an orange traffic cone, but like a big one of the significantly tall ones. It's like, I don't know, 3 feet tall, whatever. I was just realizing it, or just thinking about it the other day, that it's been, so there was like a hole dug or something, a small hole, like, not like small, but like a pretty significantly deep hole that I'd say, what could I compare it to? It's like the size of maybe like a really large dinner plate, like a really large, like large dinner plate. But it's like feet deep. And they put a cone over it, and then they turn the cone upside down, and that cone has been upside down in this hole for like 4 years at this point. I'm realizing that 4 years ago was September 2020, and I'm like, what? So I was like, what the hell? Also, a guy, they finally just moved this like last couple months. This like terrible family here. They'd be out at like 2:30 in the morning on their truck and like blaring music, and then there'd be like broken glass bottles everywhere and like beer things everywhere, and they'd just be there forever. They peeled out or like broke apart a tire during the lockdown part of the pandemic. And I was thinking to myself the other day, I was like, these pieces of this tire, because it's not biodegradable, are still everywhere in this parking lot. But they're repaving the parking lot. Okay, I don't know how often they do this. I can't remember the last time they did it. They didn't do like a full repave last time. They did like a patchwork thing. I don't know. But they started with this section first, and then they put the lines down for everyone's spot, but they only wrote half of the numbers. And so someone has been parked in my spot, in my reserve spot for since Wednesday. Or I think we could start parking in here. Yeah, I think we could start parking in here on Wednesday. So it's been almost a week. That car hasn't moved. So every other car has kind of shifted back to where their spots are, even though they still haven't painted on the ground where it is. And I left like a note on the car, but clearly no one's coming to check on this car. And I know which unit it is. I just don't want to go and knock and be like, hi, can you please move your car? Because the reality is there's nothing written on the spot right now. So they don't really have to technically, even though it is my spot. But it's one of those where it's just like so frustrating because I'm about to go home in a couple of days and I'd like to have my car parked in my reserved parking spot and hopefully not be accidentally in somebody else's reserved spot or something like that. And it's a nightmare. And then I got a message today from, I've been tracking a package, and the alert from the United States Postal Service says, we are unable to get to your mailbox. So the mailbox is down toward the front of the complex, and that part of the road has been torn up since they weren't supposed to start that till the end. So I don't know what was going on with that. But because then that way no one... So they ripped up the street, but then they ripped up this another section that's before mine that's even larger than mine. And all those people are parked in the street now that is currently ripped up as well. So their section isn't done yet, but the front section is, and there's numbers on it. And I'm like, okay, did they forget? Like one of the lines is missing off of one of the spots. I don't know. Anyway, so today now is like Monday, and I had checked the mail on like Thursday and Friday, and I was like, I don't think anyone's going to be able to get to them. Not Thursday and Friday, Thursday before I left. And I was like, I don't think anyone's going to be able to get to this mailbox. Lo and behold, I'm now getting alerts from USPS that's like, we cannot deliver your mail. The mailbox is blocked, which I am familiar with this because I think in like Massachusetts, they're like, if the mailbox is blocked, then they consider the mail undeliverable or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my God. I was like, I had some cute Halloween shirts in there, but I'm thinking to myself, what if people are getting their medicine in the mail? So that, like, yeah, I want my Halloween shirts, but it's one of those things where I was just like, that kind of, I don't know. I feel really bad for there's older people that live here that maybe they're getting, I don't know. That just worries me. You know, I worry about those people. But, yeah, well, okay. So I see it in the chat. Sorry, Shiva, I see that you said let the property manager know. I told my landlord, and he basically, he emailed this person, the HOA manager, but then it's like they're useless. They literally, it was like one answer, and the landlord didn't even answer this last time. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, you know, there's a part of me where it's like, okay, I get it. There's a struggle right now, but I'm like, there's some problems here that need to be corrected. And, you know, if there wasn't a guy with 10 cars in this parking lot selling these cars, then we'd be able to park wherever everyone would be able to park. No problems, no issues, whatever. But it's like, there's not going to be a spot. Yeah, I don't know what's going to go on. I'm just stressed. I'm just stressed about it. Oh my God, I'm realizing that I need I'm trying to figure out how to get, so this wireless mic I have, the majority of wireless mic systems like DJI or the Shure ones or whatever, all these ones, they only have two mics with one per transmitter, right? And then basically you can have 2 transmitters in an area at a time, but not more than that because it gets complicated. And so I'm trying to figure out how to get 4 wireless mics going. But the problem is I, one, don't have the money to buy another set of 2 more of these mics. I'm already using these mics for work projects. And these I had bought for bourbon study videos, not for work videos. And I'm realizing there was a piece of equipment I wanted to order because I was like, well, it's expensive, but it's one of those things where I'm like, well, I'd invest in this for myself, you know, and I didn't. And even if I could, it won't get to this place tomorrow. So anyway, whatever. I just needed to vent about that parking situation. I'm sorry. It's very frustrating. It's stressful. It's anxiety inducing, and I don't care for it. I don't care for it. But I had a really cool experience that I got to partake in. So we're going to flip this around. We're going to be positive now. Let me have a little sip of my tea first. So I should have sipped this tea while I gave you the tea about the parking situation. Am I right? Look at this cute little ghost mug. I got this at Target last year for like $5 on a whim. And it is dishwasher safe. And they're all like a little indented in here. What a great purchase. Trey, I see you comment about the spa day. I've noticed the sun, like I need to do one of those peels or whatever all you people are doing. I feel like I'm getting there. Like I can see this, like, it's that thing where I'm like, I could use like a facial or something like that. No, I feel better this week than I did last week or than the week before. I know I've been like super stressed out, but you know, I've been talking to people about it, you know, therapy about it. And it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I try to let some stuff go. And then also I was like, you know what? I am being my own worst enemy right now too. I think it's because when I work in like a small, so it's just like domino effects, and again, this is gonna sound like a complaint, but it's just me explaining how my brain works. Is like, so I'm positive I've got a little bit of claustrophobia, okay, so also the ADHD brain that I have. So there's this thing where I need sort of as things start to feel smaller. When things start to get cluttered, I start to get more and more stressed and wound up and anxious. So it's like that twisting of that toy right before it lets go. And I'm like kind of realizing that more and more lately, like sort of a bunch of these things go hand in hand. Like I do live in a very small place, and I love my knickknacks, and that's on me and things like that. And, you know, I have dreams of grandeur, of having a Bell-sized physical media Blu-ray, DVD library someday. That is my literal dream. And you know, I don't want to give up on sort of that stuff, and I definitely am like a sea creature that learns to live. What is it, like a hermit crab that grows to the size of its shell, or you know, and it's one of those things. But I do also like I like the process of figuring out systems and organization and how things can have their place. Like I love things that are designed with like efficiency. And you know what's kind of crazy is the more, like the older I get is like cubes, these cubes. So I have a lot of these cube systems around me here. You know, they're you know, Target or IKEA, I feel like made them famous, but you can get them at Target now, pretty much anywhere. And you know, I think they're a great like organization system. I think they make things like look kind of clean and sleek. But here's the thing: I don't actually think they're very efficient, because I think drawers and cupboards with shelves would be better, because I do feel like sometimes, like, what do you do about a bunch of little stuff? And I guess it's like you gotta get like plastic bins, and then they have to be the right size, and it's a sort of, you know, it's that sort of work in progress, I guess, where you know, when you're a kid, that those sort of systems are already in place, you know, or us as members of society, when we go to move places, or, you know, we go to school systems, or we go to these things, we've created these institutions and these things, and they already have a lot of that stuff like built into it. And when you are building that from the ground up, sometimes it is like a test and adjust process, right? And so sometimes that can be a little bit difficult, and you can be like, oh, I effed up. This is the wrong thing, or this isn't working the way I want it to work, right? And that can be really kind of frustrating and, just like not good for your aura, and it's like negative energy. And I feel like I had a sort of I don't want to say a breakthrough, but sort of a moment where I was like, I feel like I'm almost there in terms of having like a good, and in referring to work, I feel like I have almost like a pretty solid work setup. I feel like I've gotten myself into a good position where I can be like a little bit ahead, which I would prefer to be ahead than behind, obviously. Wouldn't everybody? But just enough where it's like, okay, it's like a machine you crank, and I was like, okay, the hardest part is getting it to like go, but once it's cranking, you're like, it's going. Like, obviously it's not automated because you still have to be the one putting in the effort to crank it. However, once it's in that motion, as long as you're paying attention to that machine, it's going to keep going. And I feel like I'm in that motion right now. So it's tough. And it's been tough. It has been tough. And I was like, I think it's not necessarily learning to let things go, but I think it's about just being like, okay, someone, I know I'm speaking entirely in metaphors, and this is insane. If there is a machine, if you're at the batting cages and you are standing on the plate and the balls are being launched out of the machine, and you get hit and you move aside, and you get hit and you move aside, and you get hit and you move aside, eventually, hopefully, you're smart enough to find a spot where you're not going to get hit while the balls are going down, right? And that I don't know why I started that analogy. Oh, it's about that was a bad analogy. It's kind of was about these things. The stuff sucks sometimes, and it hurts, and it is like, okay, so it is like, okay, I can't catch every one of these, all right, but it doesn't mean I have to let them hit me. I can't hit every one of them. And that's okay, but it doesn't mean I have to stop swinging. It's sort of one of those things where it's like, okay, just figure out how to swing a little bit different. Feel like that sounds different than I wanted it to. Anyway, you get the point. It's just basically about being like, I haven't been ducking and dodging the way I normally would. Like if this was a film set and you were like, okay, we're filming a movie, what do we do? Instead of just being like, okay, well, I'm just going to try something new. And at some point, I feel like sometimes that does end up being like, I can't be everybody's keeper, and I just have to worry about myself. And it sucks sometimes because sometimes we're in environments where maybe we don't have support systems that we want or things like that, or it gets into a way where like sometimes things aren't meshing correctly, and it's sort of just about like tip-tapping and dancing and moving and feeling that rhythm. And then when you find that rhythm, you're like, okay, I feel like once you have the rhythm, it's easier to move and adjust and do those things when it happens. And that's why I'm like, okay, I'm like right there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? God, if you know what I mean, I don't know. Maybe we all need therapy for everybody then. But, so I'm feeling better. I'm feeling like, I don't want to say confident, but I'm feeling more sure of being like, okay, there are outcomes that are happening where I'm like, this sucks. Like, or this isn't as good as I want it to be, or this isn't a thing. But again, when I paint, that's what happens. I say, oh, this sucks. Oh, this sucks. And then when it's finally done, I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad. And that is what I feel like I've been letting myself swallow into, is that I was in that part of painting the picture where it was like, oh, I don't like this. I don't want to do it. And it was like, well, you have to do it. And I was like, well, I hate that feeling. And then when you're finally done, you're like, actually, it's pretty good. And so I'd like to keep that rolling. I'd really like to keep that going. And so I'm doing the best I can with everything that I have, and yeah, I appreciate it. Ray, I very much appreciate it. Denny actually brought up that show to me the other day. And I'm going to be just 100% honest on here, as I will be 100% honest when anybody brings it up. I don't think there's a reality. One, there isn't really space in a schedule right now to add another show. Also, I think I will literally lose my mind if we add like other shows. So, because we technically, I watch over like 2 YouTube channels, and I feel like I've got like kind of one finally like, okay, you got a good schedule. Now it's the other one I need to be like, okay, I need to get better with this one, and then hopefully it all comes together. And but yeah, I right now I don't think it's humanly possible to produce another show. So we'll see. I don't want, and I would say everybody out there, and I would tell anybody this in life too, this isn't shitting on anything, that I think that you really do have to carve out space and time for yourself to really be separated from that thing that is your work. I mean, work can be life, and it can be all-consuming sometimes, and you could be doing the thing you love, but I still think that you need to really find time to do something that is completely unrelated to that, because I think it gives you like a nice fresh perspective. I think that it allows those like sort of batteries that you're using to operate every day like recharged even just a little bit. And I just think like that's a good, it's a good thing. And it's tough sometimes because especially somebody like me, like I have a little bit of OCD, and like I mean my like sister has it really bad, but I get so, and with my ADHD, like I get so hyper focused on something that like if I have the idea how to build something and I believe that I can get it to work, I will do it. I will stay up. Like I will not sleep. I will get everything that I need to do it, and I will work on it until it is done. And like, it's that fear, and we're talking about this actually, this is like my current therapy topic, about being like, why do you have to do that? And it is this like fear that I'm not going to be able to reignite that same spark or keep that creative momentum going. And so I don't know. I know that's a thing we're going to address in therapy. We're not there yet, but it's something I talk about in things. And so it's tough. It's like weird. It's weird. So Diana's asking, so if your work is Disney, what do you do when you need to disconnect? Well, I think I think there's elements of it like, okay, so here's a good example. So I won't say Disney, but I would say theme parks. And, I love, one of the things I absolutely love to do, I talk about it on here, is do these like fun photos of friends, whether they like me to do it or not. I will be like, can you stand over here? Can you go over here? Can you go over here? And I love to just practice. And, I love Halloween Horror Nights because it has really dynamic lighting packages and things. And I love practicing like low light photography, but also like unique perspectives and lighting. And so I'm like, if I see a neon sign, I'm like, oh, go get up against that neon sign and let me like shoot the angle. Like my favorite one right now is there's this like music shop window. Well, I've liked this one for a long time. It's always been there. That's in the, like if you're familiar with Universal Studios Florida at all, where the Finnegan's Bar is, there's like an alley, and it's like New York. So it's like you'd be kind of facing the Mummy attraction right on, and there's like a street, just this random street. It's not a scare zone or anything like that. And it has a bunch of like neon signs on it. Like there's one that says cocktails. There's like one coming down on this corner of the street, that's red. I can't remember what it says. But there's a music window one. So it's like neon, and it says like music lessons or something. And it's got like instruments in it. And what's cool about this window is that like there's another little alcove of a street going like this. So it's the cornered up part. So if you go over here, you can see somebody, like the neon sign hangs here and they're over here. So you can get this like really cool kind of romantic perspective. And that's like one of my favorite spots right now. Actually, let me see. I think I could share these photos with you. Amber, I'm going to share these photos with everybody. Is that okay? That's okay. She said it was okay. You heard her voice. Although that was a little more Clara than anything. Let me see. I know I like just did these. That's why I'm like they're in here for sure. Yeah, I just love a neon sign. I don't know. It's like I said it before. It's like a very romantic kind of lighting to it that I think is just so cool. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Where's the one that I like the most, though? I sent it to them. Oh, Step Off Marshmallow Man, I see you in here. I see you in here. I think these ones right here, maybe? Okay, I apologize. Whoops. If these aren't the edited photos. But I just want to share them with you. And I think they're kind of the right perspective that they should be, for this. So let me see. I'll throw them in here. God, I hope there's nothing inappropriate in here. Not that there would be, because I'm a nice boy. Okay, so see, here's one sign where I was like, okay, come out, come out from around the thing, like lean back and look like you love each other. It's a little red. It could bring down the red a little bit. It's also helping me like learn editing, and I'm, teaching myself by like YouTube and stuff like that. So that's my friend Amber, who's been on this stuff before, and that's actually her husband Steve. And I was really happy because they didn't ask me to do this. I was just like, oh, can I do this? And then he sent me a message later and was like, oh, I just really want to say thank you because we don't get a lot of pictures together because we kind of switch on and off with the kids. And so I was like, oh, that makes it all the more worth it. Hold on. The window that keeps track of these is missing. So I need to bring that one up. Hold on 1 second so I can switch to the next one. Sorry. I updated this right before we got started. Oh, what was that, DJ? Yeah, you were right. Okay, here's the window. Here we go. Okay, so behind this one, oh, see, this is ironic because now it's like the image is too big. I can't shrink it. Dang it. All right. Well, let me pop these into. Oh, there's Chloe's forehead. Let me pop those into Photoshop real quick here. Oh, geez, I just closed that window again. Dang it. Hold on, I have the Photoshop open so I can resize them really quick. I'll just put them all in one so we can just look at one picture together. I feel like for me, so the end of this story, the tangent I went on was to answer Diane's question, is that like 2 Wednesdays ago, was like the week after Halloween Horror Nights had started, or the week it had started, or whatever. I went to the park, and I went at like 11:30 at night, and I stayed till 2 in the morning, and I told myself no camera. And so it was and I think every single one of the events last year, I brought a camera. So that's like a big deal for me. And of course I was there and I was like, man, I wish I had my camera. But that for me is like, okay, you gotta enjoy the moment, right? Like I'm trying to be better about being present. It's like my dogs are alive. They're with me right now. And it's like, they're not going to be with me, forever, sadly. Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. I'm working on some deals. But, it's like, there's things in life where you're like, these are more important. So like, I took Artie for a nice walk the other day, because it was his 11th birthday on September 11th. And so it was his golden birthday. So we got a special toy. It was a whole thing. Like, he's a very good boy. Okay, hold on. Okay, what the heck? I can't get 3 of these in one photo. So let me do the ones that make sense to go together. And we're just gonna be like, were you showing people pictures of us the other night? I'll be like, yeah, I was. What about it? Amber? I just really like these ones. These are 2 separate pictures, although as I realize I'm putting them together, they kind of look like they are one photo. So when you see that in a second, I promise you these are actually 2 photos. So let's put some white underneath here, and then we're gonna just like blow this up really quick so we can see it, see what we're doing here. What are we doing here? And then I'm gonna tell you also about my trip to Atlanta. Yeah, you're like, what? You went to Atlanta? Yeah. Went to Atlanta for about 18 hours. Amber 1 desktop. Okay, let's mute that one. mute that one. These must have all been, ugh, let me stop taking portraits. Portraits never size right on here. You know what's crazy is I don't know why it does it on this computer, but it doesn't do it when I go to, on my work computer. It just lets me resize it in the monitor. That's why I never understand why I have so much trouble in this one. Okay, so I'm showing you those two are in one, and then these two are in another, and then I showed you this other one. Okay, so there's just two more. Hold on. Alrighty. Don't save this. Okay, here we go. Ready? Little drum roll, please. Anyway, so this is the picture I like a lot. So the one on the left, obviously, is Steve standing under that sign. But then I was like, oh, Steve, go around into this other duck over here. Oh my God! Wait a minute. Allie the animator says, my dog is almost 17 and she just started the injections for arthritis and I swear she might live forever because of those shots. Oh my God. 17 is incredible. Incredible. But that's what I'm trying to be like. You know what? I'm going to start taking more portraits of the dogs. Something fun like that. I want to start doing more of these like midnight photo shoots that I've been doing. I put up a black curtain in my living room. I throw out some neon lights and I test some things and I see if they work or not. So this one where like Steve's in the corner and then Amber's watching him through the window. I freaking love it. And I'm like, let me write that movie. What's that movie? And then this is the other one. This one on the left here. This is like if you go up a stairwell down just the side of that street I'm talking about at Universal Studios Florida, there's a neon sign over here. It says, "Oh, Dukes." That's what it is. And I'm like, if you stand on the railing behind, like so, and then I kind of lit them with a little phone flashlight, and I got the neon behind them. I feel like it adds like a nice little, I don't know. It's like you'll know exactly. You know where you are. I don't know. And then the one of Chloe, that's in front of Mel's. So the thing is, their neon signs are a little high. So it's kind of like you got to be on your tippy toes. Or if you go around the corner at Mel's, they have tables outside, and you could sit on the table. And then they have neon signs that say. So I like this one because it said chili. But there's one that says fries, and I love to do a fries before guys post. And then there's one that's like cheeseburger. I don't know. I like a neon sign. Just me, I'm just weird. I'm just trying to be creative. Just having fun with it. You gotta have fun, right? You gotta have fun. Somebody said wasted nonsense as a reference to a video I made recently. And I was like, none of it's wasted nonsense. But I'm trying, just trying new things. There's not a lot of neon there this year. So it's been a little like, bummer. Like the vibe of just like hanging out, I don't feel like is there this year. Whereas like last year, 100% felt it. This year, it's like, you're just there to go in the houses. The vibe of being like out and about. I don't know. So crazy story. I basically got asked, some of friends over at BoxLunch, which I'm part of the BoxLunch Collective, which is this like cool program they have where we make like social media posts in the merchandise and stuff like that, and every now and then we're like featured on the site or something. But I'm gonna not burp, but like have a hiccup. I'm sorry. This is gonna hold on. I'm gonna mute myself really quick. I had one of those like the indigestion bursts or something. Oh, it's trying to get me to turn on echo cancellation, Carl. No, we ain't doing that. Anyway, so I do this thing with BoxLunch, which has been great. I've been doing it for like 2 years, maybe almost, a year and a half, 2 years. But I got a random email on a Thursday night, and they were like, "Hey, we are doing this volunteering event in Georgia. Would you be interested in joining us?" And Diane, you are 100% correct. Dead Coconut does have neon. Dead Coconut is my next like hangout over there and do some photos and things like that. Especially, I like the like 80s vibe it is right there. I think it's supposed to be like 1988. They said in there. I haven't seen the vampires dancing yet either. And you're right. Oh, that would be a really actually. You know what, Diane? That's what I'm gonna do. That's my setup. That's the next one. Cool vamp photos in there. Because I feel like it's a little foggy sometimes too. I'm going to invest in one of those handheld fog machines. They're like $100, I think, but I feel like I always want to take like fog photos, so it might be useful. I did find my fog machine the other day when I was organizing my storage unit, and I don't know if it works anymore. I couldn't use it in a house, obviously, but if I went outside, I don't know. But so BoxLunch reached out and they were like, BoxLunch is partnering with Feeding America this month for Hunger Action Month, and we want to know, would you want to come up and volunteer at the Atlanta Community Food Bank on Friday for a couple of hours? And I was like, oh, yeah. And they're like, okay, well, our giving ambassador, David Harbour, will be there. And I was like, what? As you know, I'm a big Stranger Things fan. I have a Demogorgon on the side of my leg, like a little Demogorgon head. But I have got my Demogorgon right here, my little Demogorgon hand sanitizer right here. And I was like, oh, yes, please. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to go up there. And they're like, okay, well, they flew me up. And it was really cool. I got to meet the head of like BoxLunch's like social media. I think I met her boss too, and I'm not sure what his role was and stuff. But I got to meet one of the Feeding America representatives and all this stuff. I cannot tell you how incredibly impressive and massive the Atlanta Community Food Bank is. It is like being inside of an Amazon warehouse or something like that. Only way, I feel like, cleaner and more organized. But it was like on IKEA. It reminded me of like when you get to the part of IKEA where you've got to go find the furniture yourself and stuff. And it was cool. And so we worked in the produce, and one of the things you don't know is like obviously places when they like donate stuff, it still has to be sorted because it has to like, it's about like distributing the right amount to people. And so I basically, I was sorting onions for 3 hours. That was like, you had to get exactly like as close to 5 pounds as humanly possible as you could get, not to go over. We was being very precise, which is exactly what they wanted. It sounds easier said than done, but it was cool. It was a lot of fun. And then David was there, and he came and he talked to every single person that was there. He sorted onions with us for a little bit. I got to talk to him. He was asking me about, he was telling me about how he lived in, how he was just in Florida with his kids, and I'm like, oh, you go to Disney? And I was like, when are they going to build your Marvel ride? And then I also asked him about Stranger Things, and he talked to me about, because I was like, how are you feeling now that Stranger Things is coming to an end, because you've been doing this for like 9 years, which is crazy, for this show. And he's like, yeah. And he told me about like they did a table read for the final episode and how emotional it was. And it was just, he was a very personal, super nice guy, and he was here volunteering and being a part of that, and he was all laughs, and I think he enjoyed his time talking to people. I think he likes talking to people. He is the tallest human being I have ever met. I think he was at least, I feel like he's like a foot taller than me, huge. So but what a cool, so it was like one of those where it was like, you know what happened? I made a post on Instagram, and there was like one person who was shitting on the whole experience. They were like, some of us just volunteer and don't talk about it, and you're feeding your ego and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, your logic is entirely flawed. If everybody just volunteered in silent, which is also a great thing, how would other people know where and what to do for volunteering? Like, I think what was really cool is that I got to partake in this thing. I had never been to a food bank like this. I'm talking like when I volunteered when I lived in my small town, it was like a church basement. It was that sort of a level of a thing. This is on a different level. And also I think sometimes some people need to explain the journey of what they did in order for other people not to feel so intimidated, because I'm definitely one of those people. I get too nervous. I get anxious. I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to strangers or this sort of thing. And it was so, the people that worked at this food bank, they were just so nice and welcoming and big personalities, and they were kind. Nobody made you feel any which way. It was just other than like, thank you so much for this. And I think we sorted something like over 5,000 pounds worth of food to help the community. They were saying we were a group of like 30 something, and they were saying normally a group of like 66 or something like that sorts. I can't remember what they said. Something like 11,000 pounds, but they were like, we did more than they thought we were going to do. And I was just like, yes. But it was just really cool. I got to meet some really awesome people. There was another guy from Orlando, because it was just like us randomly, who lives a couple lights down, from me, and it was nice to talk to him, and who's really cool. He does a lot of like Disney fashion style icon stuff. His name is Jossam, and he's on there. Awesome Jossam, if you want to find him on Instagram. Very very nice person to chat with and hang out with, and that was really cool. So literally, I was in Atlanta. I think I landed at like 10 p.m. and I was back in Orlando by 9 p.m. the plane landed, so it was like crazy. But it was really, I don't know, it was just one of those cool things where I was like, I love being a part of something like that does give back to that community. And if you don't know this, they didn't ask me to do this on here or anything like that. I'm just being 100% honest about everything that happened. Is that for every $10 that gets spent at a box lunch, that's one meal that feeds a family in need. And so sometimes I know the perception of box lunch, I mean, it can be, we even talked about it, is that some of the stuff is on the more expensive side, as opposed to somewhere like a Hot Topic. I know they're the same company, but I always think it's sort of that element of it built into it. It's at least, I know capitalism is awful, but at least it's one of those where it feels a little less awful when it's a company that is committed to giving back to the community, which is great. I also think what's cool about these being a part of this and doing this box lunch thing is that as somebody who has always loved this kind of like, we'll call it nerdy stuff. Like, I love Power Rangers. I've always loved Power Rangers. There was a time where it was not cool to love Power Rangers. I mean, or it was not cool to love these like quote unquote childish things. And it's one of those where I was like, we live in such a different culture in terms of that stuff now. I mean, look at the shirt I'm wearing. Like, look at all these Roosevelt shirts that I've worn, and these things where it's like kind of like people can live and breathe in their fandom, and I feel like it feels you more comfortable, with yourself, with showing the things you love. And I think when we show and share those things that we love so much, we sort of more and more begin to like love ourselves, through these communities, through these things a little bit more and more. And it makes us feel more and more confident, more and more part of something, more and more just whole. And it's like these live streams. That's why it's important for me to do these, because it's cheesy as it sounds. When you all are asking me, oh, are you going live tonight? Are you going live tonight? It's like, oh, you want to be a part of, and I know there's people watching who are never in the chat who just enjoy the watch. And they, like a mom and her daughter who met me at Epcot, and they were like, we'll watch you every Monday. And I was just like, this means a lot to me. Like that meant the world to me for you to come up there and say that. And also they were like, we're not in the comments, but I want to know that you know this. And I think it's one of those things where I think that's such a cool thing, like to be able to try and create spaces where people can find community. And I think that's something that I struggle with personally in Orlando, and that's something I was talking about with my friend now, who I was there at Box Lunch with, is that like Orlando, in all the cities I've kind of been spent time in, it definitely feels on the community here doesn't feel as strong in many ways. I'm not saying there isn't a community here. I don't mean to offend anybody with that, but it's not as it's not like when I was in Seattle, it was like you can name it, and there was literally a gay league for it. You know what I mean? There's all these things, like people are in parks, they are hanging out at museum, like all these things. And I know it's not the same here, and it's not the whatever, but I just was thinking, I think about like how like my best friend Kim is in the community that she has. And I don't just mean like the friends and everything, but I mean like she was in the restaurant industry in Milwaukee, and I see that Milwaukee is a city that is literally it is their restaurant community that really is the lifeblood of this city. I mean, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but and they have a strong community there, you know. And I don't know, it's cool. It's cool when RJ and I set out to start the Ampliverse, which is the website that he and I did, which he definitely curates way more content for that. I mean, I haven't contributed to that in a while, but hopefully again pretty soon with my Goosebumps podcast and maybe the Bourbon Study again and some things. It's about finding space and time in my life to be able to do those things more and more, because I think those are important. But we really did set out because we wanted to create space in these communities for people who come from maybe marginalized communities, you know, and it's not exclusivity, it's inclusivity. And I think sometimes people think of things that are inclusive, for some reason that has become a bad word lately, or in some sects of the world, and it's not. There's a thing, I think sometimes people think so much in like terms of a pie. Like if I give away this many slices, you know, if I give somebody else a piece of the pie, there's going to be less pie for me. And that's not how it works in the reality of this sort of stuff. It doesn't, because a fandom grows, it doesn't mean there's less space for you. It just means there's more people in it. It's not a room that has a finite space. It grows and grows and grows. It is the universe. The Ampliverse grows and grows when we amplify those voices, when we make that space for people, because the universe is ever expanding, baby. And that's the whole point behind it. I'm not going to lie to you. I did just come up with that universe thing right there in the end, and I'm really proud of myself. So I'm going to sip my little tea here and be like, maybe we did it subconsciously, and maybe he thought that's what we were doing. But I mean, we talked about the reason why I like the universe part of it is because every like little fandom is supposed to be its own like world. So it's about everybody is creating new worlds, and so it was like that. But I think like all these worlds create, you know, this universe, and we're all in it together, and it's constantly growing. And I think that's the way to think about it. Not a balloon that'll pop, or you know, a room with, you know, that's 4x4. That's not how things work. I mean, I know that's how our brains need stuff sometimes, but just because somebody else is getting something doesn't always mean it's being taken from you. And I do understand that sort of. It did sound a little, I'm not trying to be preachy. I'm just saying, like, I have to tell myself that all the time. You know what I mean? I have to remind people close to me in my life that all the time, sort of a thing. That's the green tea kicking in, baby. That's brisk, baby. I don't know. It's very important. That's why I like, again, here we go, all the way back around. That's why I like being, I'm cracking real hard drink right now. Fresca. Sponsorship? Not yet. I would lose my mind if I got Fresca sponsorship. I don't think enough people are drinking Fresca. You know how many calories are in this drink? Let me read it. 0. Yeah, I spilled it on myself. I know you saw it. But it's tough. It's hard. I know it's also hard when you're, I mean, trust me, I feel it. When you're somebody, I feel like the American dream was, sorry, I needed to sip because there's a little bit left. You know, work hard and you like climb. I hate the ladder analogy, because I've said it before on this channel, is that, you know, climbing the corporate ladder, climbing this ladder. Well, the joke's on all of us, because they keep adding rungs to the ladder. So you can climb for your entire life, but you're never getting anywhere. And that's what it's starting to feel like more. And it's like, okay, so that's also, you know, bringing it all the way back to what I was talking about at the beginning, is it's about being like, okay, I'm going up this ladder like this, or I'm attempting to climb this ladder like this, and I'm not going anywhere. So what do? You know, how do we approach this differently? You know, and it's just figuring that out. I don't have an answer for that. I'm just saying, like, it feels like you've just got to like kind of untrain yourself for some of those sort of institutionalized way we think and things like that. It's crazy. Ooh, God, I'm gonna hiccup again. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna mute it. Whew. I like Voodoo Ranger is what I was trying to say. Anyway, we talked a lot. It was a really cool experience, and I really hope if they do another one, I'll be invited back. I don't, obviously it doesn't have to be a part of Box Lunch in order to volunteer. And if you pay attention to my Instagram, I'm going to share a little bit more about that. I did a video for YouTube, so I've got, hopefully there'll be a video out. I'll get to edit. I think maybe I'll edit that on the airplane. I always say that. I can't work on an airplane. It's too tiny, too tight. But hopefully this week, I'll have that this week, because I'd love to throw that video up there. And then I still have the one of the bars downtown. I need to show you that. That's from like months ago at this point, but it's still relevant because they're really cool places and spaces, and something worth visiting if you come in here. But so I got some other content. If you are one of my Patreon supporters, I am going to do a Patreon live stream this week. I also have to catch up on the August contest, because I posted I showed an image of what they were and I never showed them. So if you are one of those people and you need like a refund or something like that, we're still going to do the contest this month. We're going to do double contest this month. In fact, I've got even extra stuff, because you know how much I love Halloween. So if you are one of them and you're in there, I promise you I'm coming. I've got stuff. I was so incredibly overwhelmed, and that last week of August into September was really tough on me. So I do really, really appreciate your patience with a bunch of that. I also have a really cool new art project that I'm not ready to share yet, but I will be able to show you next week. I think I figured it out last night, but I found these like cool figurines and these like shadow box things, and I was like, I wonder if I could design some like backgrounds and make some like fun little shadow boxes for like your desk or a wall or work or something like that. Just something cute, little cute. Nothing to write, nothing to be like, oh, hundreds of dollars, whatever. Just a little thing where I'm like, maybe I could put that up in my store. It might be cute presents this time of year, or just something to brighten up somebody's day, And I'm trying to make them super affordable, so it's one of those where it's like, oh, that's cute. I'll get that, It's more about, I like the idea of these being like little things to look at that make you smile a little bit, and being able to share that with people is always more important, I think, than, I don't want to be like, always more important than obviously the money you should make. I mean, you can make money back and stuff like that, but it is one of these things where I'm like, I don't know, it's just something fun that has me a little excited, and we'll put it out there and see if anybody wants them or whatever. But also, I think I'm going to do them as like some of the Patreon contests that I do. I think I'm going to start throwing them in these things. It is very cutesy, and I did almost see it again. But yeah, I think I have to go, because it's been almost an hour, but very mindful, because I still have a lot of work to do. We're trying a new thing for work tomorrow for our show, and I need to set myself up for success for that. But also, I realized, so I had designed all these backgrounds for these, like, I'll just tell you a little bit about it. These little like shadow boxes. Last night or yesterday, I spent some time going through, and I was like, okay, I want to know, like, how do I design a background? And then I was like, okay, how am I going to get this here? And I was like, okay, just measure them out and send them to like 1 hour photo, get them printed, and then they'll be the right size. Oh, Mitzi, hi Mitzi. Mitzi, we're going to hang out soon. I was thinking about you yesterday, actually. But when I come back from Massachusetts, but anyway, I was like, I forgot to pick them up today because this parking situation. I was like, I got to go home right now. I forgot to pick them up. So I've got to go pick those up before I go to work. And I have to return. Hopefully it's open before. I don't think it is. But I have bought some stuff at the Disney outlets, and I have I think I've like missed the day. I think today was like the last day. And I've got to get that returned because it was like $55 worth of stuff. And I was like, Mama needs that money. Mama's got to eat. Mama's got doggies to feed. I see a question about where you could see my art in the comment section of this video, and I can, hold on, I closed the window again. I think I still have the thing in here to share it. Do I, or did I delete it by accident? Right here. Is this popping up? Right there, right there. So I have this website. It's called ko-fi.com, like ko-fi.com/Ryno, R-Y-N-O. And on there, I have like a little shop. I don't really think there's anything in the shop right now. I think there was like a Slimer painting maybe. Like a Chucky painting, I think. I think there's like 2 or 3 paintings left, which is okay. Sometimes I paint and I think maybe somebody out there wants it. And then sometimes it's like, it just doesn't hit. And that's all right. It's all good. I wanted to paint it either way, so I don't care. But that is over there. You can see all of that on there. And if you, I'll say this every time I talk about it. If you yourself are someone who sells art, or jewelry, or if you would have anything that you'd sell in an Etsy shop, I would recommend this so much more over Etsy, because like 95% goes back to you, and like none of it goes to the website. It's essentially just the fees of like if people are going to pay with like a credit card. And so let's say you're trying to let's try like a GoFundMe. Let's say I was asking people to help me with, get this, how much the government wants from me, $700 a month for my student loan payments. And I'm like, girl, you're not getting them. You're not getting them. You're not getting them. I'm sorry, sweet cheeks. I'm going to die in the ground before all that money gets paid off. I am positive of it. So if anyone wins the lottery, let me know. I could choose about 80,000. No, I'm just kidding. But $700 a month is Looney Tunes crazy, thinking that you're getting that amount of money from me a month, you insane people. But let's say I wanted to do something where I was like, I'm going to raise $80,000 to pay off my student loan. So I think you can set a goal in here. Or let's say like someone needed an operation, hernia operation or something like that. I think you could be like, help Aitor with his hernia operation. We're looking for $1,000. Basically, all the money, if you PayPal, or I don't remember the other one. PayPal, I think that you get like 100% of the money. But let's say you're like, well, I don't want to use my debit card or anything like that, or I want to use it as a credit payment because I want to keep track of it. You get basically like 95% of it. You just end up paying like the credit card fee, whatever that might be, $1, $2 or something like that. So when you donate to somebody, or you tip somebody, or you buy somebody a drink, they get like 95% of that, which is crazy. There's no other website that I know of that's doing that. That does it that directly. So I donate, it's like $6 a month to be like a gold member on here. And but if you are anyone out there, or anyone out there who's in an Etsy shop, I know it doesn't have the same reach as Etsy. Like it doesn't have that same build to it yet. With like people go to Etsy specifically to search for something like that. But the fees for Etsy are insane. The fees for like eBay and stuff like that are insane. They jacked those up during the pandemic, and I don't think it's okay. So if you have someone that you could maybe help or work into this website, I will always recommend that website right there. As of right now, God, hoping that nothing terrible, they didn't do something terrible that I don't know about. Wouldn't that be wonderful? The Goosebumps. Okay, question about the Goosebumps video. Definitely going to answer that. I have read a couple more. I have written out all my notes about them. I just haven't recorded them. I've recorded one, but I'm like 3 ahead. Also about that site, you can follow artists. Like if you want to follow me and see when I am, I'm laughing at your comment, Mitzi. Whenever I post new things, it'll be like, Ryno just posted something. So it's something, if you're just interested in seeing it, I think you just can click follow. I don't know. I'm not completely well versed in all that stuff. So check it out. And then I've got like 20 paintings over here I'm going to get to at some point in my life, I think. I've got the bug going, and I've got a bunch I need to finish for my Patreon supporters out there, because I do one painting a month as like a contest giveaway on Patreon, and I'm enjoying doing that because it also makes me feel like I can experiment with those a little bit more. Like I did an Iron Man one recently, and I have this like 3D thing I'm trying with that one, so that one's going to be really cool. one. So I am a little backed up. Like somebody won this one, and I just have to finish it. I know I said it before, but there's somebody out there's waiting for a Darkwing. You know, we got this baby will be finished someday. No, never, because look where I messed it up. And I can't fix that, so I don't know. I'll try someday. Anyway. You know, I don't want people to be like, oh, you're just hawking your stuff. But yeah, so I've got those paintings. All paintings will be finished before the end of the year. And then I have these new fun things I'm trying. If these work out, there was like a bunch of more ideas I have that I really want to do, because they're like not quick, but they're fun. And I want to see if I can light them. But the Goosebumps podcast, that will be continuing. That will be on the Ampliverse YouTube channel. I believe we're still talking about doing that. I might just do audio only. I'm not there yet. I haven't decided that 100% because it might be easier, but I don't know. It's just as easy, I think, to record the video and do it this way. So, I mean, God, it's September. I really should try and get my stuff together to be able to do that for October. Diana, is that how you say your name? Is asking what platform the Goosebumps podcasts are on. So I believe all the episodes I've done are on this YouTube channel. There's a playlist called Let's Get Goosebumps, and that is the name of the podcast as well. And it should be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I believe. But you can find it at theampliverse.com. On there, it's on the homepage, and you can find that there too. So, yeah. So hopefully some more creative stuff coming out. That's fun. And I encourage you all to try your best to make some space for yourselves, like we talked about in this. And, you know, just like check in on each other. Make sure everybody's doing all right. I hope everyone's having a good start to the Halloween season. I started it on July 5th, and I am enjoying it as it ramps up more and more and more. Very, very excited. And I need to stop spending money on Halloween things. I'm not gonna. But yeah, so anyway, I'm going home. My grandma's doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm excited to see them on Thursday and spend some time with them and help them out with some stuff and see my family. There's a wedding I've got to go to, and yeah, so it's going to be a good time. I'm going to have fun. I see that the weather isn't much cooler there than it is here. A little bit better. I think it's like in the 70s, but still I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to wear shorts, aren't I? But my mom was trying to be like, it's going to be freezing. I'm like, yeah, Sandy, come on now. Come on now. All right, gang. I'm going to go. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, to my Patreon supporters, that's, where is it here? These guys over here, personal Patreon supporters. Stay tuned. I think maybe tomorrow night I will be able to do, I think maybe like a little live stream or something like that, and I'll catch up on the contests and everything like that. If not tomorrow night, I will do it in the next couple of days. But I'm definitely, stay tuned in here. I'm gonna work on some more content to come that way and everything like that. So getting better about it. So thank you everybody for your continued support. Just even watching these videos, you know, I do appreciate that. I appreciate all of you that aren't in the chat. You know, I'm glad you're here. Any way that you're here, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're in the world with us, and I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you all very, very soon. Take care. I'm not going to be doing one of these next week because next Monday I will be traveling to come back. So maybe on a different day. Stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, click the bell. You'll get notified, I think, whenever this goes live. Ideally. I don't know that it will. If you're following me on Instagram, I've been pretty good about making the posts about it in the moment. So I'll try to let you all know, and I'll try to use that community tab a little bit more. So thank you, everybody. Stay cool. Stay cool. What the hell kind of an end was that?